Four secrets to finding well paid work you love and can do for a long time. Instead of chasing jobs that will ultimately make you miserable, where you end up blaming the culture, the people, or the job itself, wouldn't it better to figure out jobs you love doing and can excel at for a long time? Here are four quick tips to helping you find true joy and fulfillment in your 9 to 5. Welcome back, folks, to another edition of Sweetie Kiwi. How are you today? I'm doing fantastic. If you were to ask me, and if you're doing as great as I am, go grab a cup of coffee or tea or vodka and let's roll. Today, I want to give you four secrets to finding well paid work you love and can do for a long time. Secrets number one: figure out why you want that specific job and not another one. This is very important. If you can identify the why, if you can identify the overwhelming reason why you want to do that job, you have made 80% of the journey already. So, how do you figure that out? You want to think about is it the sector itself that you love, right? So, if you want to do a job, is it because you want to do it in that particular sector, or because you love the job in general? You want to identify the companies in the sector. So, do you want to do the job because you love the companies in the sector? Let's say you want to work in IT, right? Is it because you have some kind of love affair going on with Facebook, with Google, with Alphabet, with Apple? Is that just the allure of the industry that attracts you? Is it the people? Right? Let's say, for instance, when I was a child, I wanted to work at NASA. Is it because you're sort of attracted to airline pilot, or to military, like to the military, to the uniform, right? Are you fascinated by something? So you got to figure out exactly why you want that specific job. Another area is the career path, right? Let's say, for instance, you just love this particular job because you realize that after several years, after 5 or 10 years, you can parlay the skills you learn in that job into another job, another position. Is it the social status or of the sector professionals, right? Do you love a job because of the social status of those in that sector, right? So, for instance, I was giving you earlier, some people love the military because of the uniform, because of the prestige. So maybe this is one of the things that is attracting you. Or do you want to work in investment banking because you believe that investment bankers are wealthy, they're well regarded in society, or they are, within a few exceptions, of course, right? Is it the sector reputation, right? So, for instance, some sectors are not very, they will never make you a millionaire, but they have tremendously positive reputation, right? So would you want to get into that? For instance, nonprofits. Some nonprofit sectors are very clean when it comes to reputation. They have a polished reputation. So you got to figure that out. Another way to figure out why you want that specific job is the economic prospects. You got to look at the economic prospects, meaning, what are the trends? Like 10 years, what are the employment trends in that industry? Is it a growing industry? Is it a growing job market, or that's just a declining one, right? So, for instance, right now everybody's talking about artificial intelligence and robotics and Internet of Things. So, which means that in the next 5-10 years, there'll be a lot of jobs in that particular AI sector. So you might want to get a job in that sector because of the economic prospects. And another criterion you want to pay attention to is government actions, right? So some industries are subsidized by government. Some industries are, they feel the heavy presence of the government. This could be something fascinating to some. And if that's what you are looking for, then go and work in the government industry, the government sector, the public sector, so you can get into that particular industry you want to. Are you fascinated by a job? Are you drawn to a particular position because of family history? This is also a good a good element to consider because, as you know, a lot of military families, for instance, have a son or a daughter who also will serve, or a grandson or granddaughter who will serve in the military. The same applies for doctors, medical doctors. The same applies also for teachers and so on and so forth. So, so are you looking to work in a particular industry because your dad or mother, had worked in that industry, right? Another things you want to pay attention to is the demand and supply in the area where you live, right? So, folks, what I'm trying to tell you here is I'm trying to give you the number one secret to finding well-paid work you love and can do for a long time, and that is to figure out why you want to do that job and not another one. So I just gave you a host of criteria you can base your decision upon. All right, I'll be right back right after this. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, folks, to another edition of Sweetie Kiwi, and we're still here having a conversation around finding well-paid jobs you can do for a long time and that you love, right? If you like the content, the clarity, and the quality of the content so far, please consider subscribing to our channel and turn on the notification bell so that you can receive new info, new releases, new shows ASAP. Please consider liking our content, comment below, and also share. We want everybody to get a job they love and can do for a long time. Now, the second secret is to find out your personality traits. Are you introvert or extrovert? Because every job requires an element of an introversion or extroversion, or not at all. Now, what is an introvert? Let's get to the nitty-gritty here. An introvert is a person who is interested in his or her own mental self, right? So introverts are generally reserved by nature, and they are preoccupied with their own thoughts and feelings, right? So if you're an introvert, chances are you need a lot of personal space, right? You feel comfortable and more energized when you are alone. So, generally introverts prefer solitary activities, things like reading, listening to music, writing, and so on, right? They have their own world of fantasies, feelings, facts, all right? Now, it is very important to understand that an introvert is not antisocial. No. An introvert just wants personal space. An introvert does not dislike people, right? An introvert actually is a great listener, right? He or she may have social fear of socializing, but he or she is a great listener. Now, it's very important to understand that an introvert does not make friends easily and has few friends, all right? But if you happen to have an introvert as a friend, you got a friend for life, because the friendship is deep-rooted, right? So I'm just you need to figure out which personality trait you have. So I just defined the introvert to you. Now let me move on to extroverts. What is an extrovert? Now, an extrovert is a person who loves to be surrounded by and interact with people. So an extrovert is generally outspoken and confident. All right, an extrovert enjoys human interactions, right? So, when you see those celebrities or those socialites, they go to parties, they just enjoy stuff. They enjoy talking to people, gossiping here and there, and not just gossiping, but just having fun, talking to people. All right. Now, an extrovert focuses on practical realities rather than inner feelings and opinions. Right? So if you're an extrovert, chances are you will get bored quickly in solitude. So you might want to seek things that make you joyful. You can be practical, informal, social, right? And if you're an extrovert, chances are your communication skills are excellent, right? So you can talk in public, you can talk in private, you can be comfortable. You also may like to be the center of attention. There's nothing wrong with that, right? So this is those are the criteria you can look at to define, to figure out whether you are an extrovert. Now, what are the key differences between introvert and extrovert? Let's just say that if an introvert want to be by themselves, they don't want to go out, they don't want to hang out, no, which is not an extrovert, right? An introvert is self-contained and reserved, whereas an extrovert is talkative and friendly. Now, when it comes to speaking, you have extrovert who will just jump at each opportunity, but introvert will just be great at listening. They just listen. Now, an introvert recharges his or her energy with solitude, whereas an extrovert will do the same via social interactions, right? Now, another thing you want to pay attention to here is that an introvert will want to have very few friends, but real friends, whereas an extrovert would want to be around a lot of people. Those are folks who have 200, 300, 500 people, 500 contacts in their cell phones. That's extroverts. Now, and one last thing you want to pay attention to here is that an introvert generally takes time to warm up to people, whereas an extrovert just, basically becomes friend within 5 minutes. Now, I'm not saying this is superficial when it comes to extroverts. It's just their strengths. It's just their forte. It's just how they interact, right? It doesn't mean that an introvert is better or worse. No, we're not comparing and contrast here. We're just explaining things, all right? Now, as a matter of fact, some people are what people call ambivert. And I think personally here, if I can just venture a personal opinion, I'm an ambivert. So, you have a good mix of introvert and extrovert, depending upon the situation, the circumstances, the social settings in which I find myself. So you have that too. So you need to figure out, just to wrap up this section, you need to figure out your personality trait. To get well-paid work you love and can do for a long time, you need to figure out your personality trait. Because not every job is good for introverts, and not every job is good for extroverts, and not every job is good for ambiverts. So you got to find out which you are. All right. I'll be right back right after this. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, folks, to another edition. I'm very happy to have you here. I'm very happy to continue this conversation here around how to find well-paid work you love and can do for a long time. Now, secrets number 3. Figure out your true calling. Now, how do you determine your true calling? Very simple. Would you do the job even if you weren't paid? If you're looking for work you love and you can do for a long time, especially I emphasize can do for a long time, you want to figure out whether you can do the job even if you weren't paid. If the answer is yes, then you know that that's your true calling, right? It's one of those jobs that you can do and totally forget about the time, because it's just so interesting. It's just so enriching to you and to your soul. So this is what your true calling is. There are other ways to figure out what your true calling is. For instance, you want to pay attention to what interests you, right? You want to look into your past, right? When you were a child or when you were younger in high school, middle school, what were the things that you really loved doing? The things that made you laugh, the things that made you giggle, the things that made you so comfortable and so happy, right? So you want to pay attention to those. Another thing you want to do is to figure out your true calling. Figure out jobs where you don't worry too much about the future. You are so into the job that you just forget about the time. You just forget about, the future, the issues, the crises around you, the anxiety. You just are sucked into the job, right? That's very important. Now, also, your true calling is to change things from time to time, to change your routine, to try new things, right? To try saying yes to stuff, right? This is very important. You want to incorporate what you love into what you do. People talk about, would you do what you love or would you love what you do? It's very important to say it's better to love what you do, right? So the another thing that you want to also pay attention to when it comes to true calling is to understand your personal situation at a particular moment, right? So you want to understand your values. So you want to match your values with your skills. If you can match your values with your skills, then you find your true calling. And I'm not talking about the skills you learn in school. Not just that. There are other skills, right? We have non-technical skills. Those are called emotional skills, right? And you have the technical skills. So you have the hard skills and the soft skills, with the soft skills being the emotional skills, the skills based on emotional intelligence, and the hard skills being the technical skills, those you learn in school or those you learn through a workshop or a seminar. All right? I'll be right back right after this. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, folks, to another edition of Sweetie Kiwi. We're still continuing our conversation today around the 4 secrets to finding well-paid work you'll love and can do for a long time. If you just have been following us for the last 10 minutes and you love what you hear and you believe we're adding value to your life, consider subscribing to our channel and turn on the notification bell. You also might want to like, share, and comment below. We want people to know, we want the whole world to know that there are ways to find well-paid jobs that everybody loves and can do for a long time. Now, secret number 4, work with people you love and care about. Right? There's one thing that's very clear. You cannot change your coworkers, but you can seek out people you enjoy working with. Right? I'm talking about donors, I'm talking about companies, clients, suppliers. It's up to you to think about what people you want to work with. And you got to be creative here. You got to think outside the box, right? Because once you work with people you love and care about, things work fantastically. Why? You have a support system, right? You're able to talk to people. You're able to have a conversation. I'm talking about deep conversation around the job with people, right? Everybody has a support system in their family or in their spouse or, in their social circle, but having a support system at work is fantastic. It works miraculously because you're able to get the job done. People understand you. People support you. People want you to succeed, and you want them to succeed. By doing that, you're able to solve problems and accomplish goals faster. Another reason why you want to work with people you love and care about is that you feel a sense of belonging. This is wonderful, right? Because remember, you, like me and everybody else, we are social creatures, right? So we always feel good to be around people. We want to feel a sense of belonging, that we belong to a club, we belong to a group, we belong to a pack, we belong to a network, right? So being able to count yourself as a member of a network is powerful. Whether the network is at work or outside work, it's still a network. Another reason why you want to work with people you love and care about is that they compel you indirectly without saying anything. They compel you to stay, to hang around, to be in the company for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years. There are people who have been working in the same company for 40 years. Can you imagine that? Of course, nowadays it's getting rarer and rarer, but back in the days, 40 years ago, 50 years ago, with the Great American Renaissance and in the 60s and 50s and 70s, people started working and then they retired together. So, you have a good reason to actually to stay if you work with people you love and care about. Another thing you also feel when you work with people you love is that you find fulfillment. You realize your job fulfills you. You find it satisfactory, rewarding, enriching, refreshing, right? The opportunity here is that you're able to feel comfortable, to wake up in the morning and know that you're basically going to a job you love, right? And a good way to do also this is that in this kind of work environment, you're able to acknowledge your accomplishments. You're able to know whether you're making progress or not. You're able to find people to talk to, whether they are your mentors or coaches or advisors or colleagues, senior colleagues or bosses. You're able to go to someone and have a true conversation with that person. The person will tell you exactly what they think and no BS. So that's pretty important. I'll be right back right after this. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, folks, to another edition of Sweetie Kiwi, and we're about to wrap up today's conversation. And what is the context of today's conversation, by the way? I mean, we're talking about 4 secrets to finding well-paid work you love. Instead of chasing jobs that will ultimately make you miserable, where you end up blaming the culture, the people, or the job itself, wouldn't it be better to figure out jobs you love doing and can excel at for a long time? So I've given you 4 quick tips to helping you find true joy and fulfillment in your 9 to 5. And here are the 4 tips. Figure out why you want to do that specific job and not another one. Find out your personality trait. Are you introvert or extrovert or ambivert? Figure out your true calling. And the last secret, work with people you love and care about. All right. Now, this is the end of today's show, but I want to give you a pro tip here. Remember that loneliness reduces motivation and productivity. So try to be as social as possible. Don't be isolated in your cubicle. That will make you disconnected from your coworkers and your job duties. So you want to have friends at work. This will increase your satisfaction, your employee satisfaction by 50%, 40%, 60%, whatever it is still great. If you have a great support and you love the job you do, you will care more about your work, right? Because everybody talks about, everybody thinks about their job as a list of tasks. But once you have friends around, once you have a community around, you feel more dedicated to the job and you don't look at it just as a sequence of tasks. All right? So try to build a community inside your company and another community outside of work. I will see you next time. Thanks for listening. And until then, stay marvelous.